This is your host and real estate coach, Rafael Cortez. You are listening to the REI Wholesaling Podcast, where every week I bring you the real-life case studies and strategies you need to level up your real estate wholesaling business. If you haven't done so yet, go to reiwholesaling.com. Again, that's reiwholesaling.com. Sign up and get free access to your Wholesaling 101 course. This free training teaches you step-by-step everything you need to close your next wholesale deal and start making big money now. So here's the deal. How do you start scaling up and start building an actual company when you start off as a solopreneur? Well, we are going to cover all that stuff along with a whole bunch of other great things with my guest here, Layne Peterson. You've been in the business for the last 12 years. You're crushing it. You're tapping into like a couple of different verticals, but you run a successful a wholesale business here in Maricopa County. Again, one of the most competitive areas in the United States. Welcome aboard, man.
Appreciate you having me. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how you got started. I know you started a long time ago, and you've had transition periods. And a minute ago we were talking about how to grow the company when you get to a point of when you're spreading yourself too thin per se, right? So how does that happen? Give us a little bit of background on how you got started and where you're right now.
Yeah, no problem. I'm born and raised here in Arizona. Grew up, went to high school, went to ASU, graduated from ASU. Putting myself through college, I was working construction. When I graduated college, the market was booming. So I'm like, I graduated in accounting. I'm like, why would I go be an accountant when this market's booming? My company's booming. So I just stayed the course, kept as a construction, building single family homes, had my own framing company, division, and it was going great until it wasn't, right? And then the market crashes and I have to adapt.
This is a while back, right? What, 2008, 2007?
2008. I could see I was on my last construction job, building this big, nice custom home, and I'm like, I got nothing else after this. I gotta do something.
Wow.
So fortunately, I was quickly able to adapt, ran down, did the crash course real estate, course, took the test, started helping a buddy of mine do REOs, which quickly kind of molded into doing courthouse step stuff. So I met quite a few people down there, started doing the bidding down at courthouse step, which I still do today. So and then it just kind of molded from there.
For those who are not familiar, courthouse steps, you're talking, foreclosures. So you're looking at buying properties.
At the trustee sale.
At the trustee sale?
Yeah, so when somebody's getting foreclosed on, one of the last steps is it has to go to public auction.
Right.
And that happens at the courthouse steps. So we would show up there, we would bid, and I started out just bidding on my own behalf. And then word starts spreading and people want to get in on it, and so then I started just bidding for other people. It turned into a bid service. So
you almost fell into wholesaling as an accident then. That's that's what it sounds like, right?
It kind of was. I had to adapt.
You know what, man? That's one of the biggest things. Whenever you come across adversity, you get hit in the face with something that you're not expecting. For example, in your case, it was the economy, right? That's kind of big. It's hard to overcome in one single summer. But you went into it and then you adapted. So you started. What was your first step? So coming into wholesaling, basically what you're doing at this point is bidding on properties at the courthouse steps and then just trying to wholesale those agreements to your buyers.
It started out. I was taking them all down on my account. I had a friend of mine. We partnered up. We were taking them down ourselves, and then I started people started finding out, and they're like, "Hey, we want to get in on this." Construction had taken a dive. You had everybody from roofers to stucco guys to everybody that were looking for something else to do, and so then I started wholesaling them the properties.
Yeah,
and then it just kind of molded from there.
Were you buying them under your LLC? And
I started out that way, but then it turned into just a fee service down at the steps. So they would pay me a fee to represent them and buy it for them. They would go directly into their name. They'd pay me a small fee, and
that came in the form of what, a JV agreement, a joint venture partnership agreement, or was it?
No, it was just a bid service agreement.
Bid service agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Man, that's a completely different way of doing it, right? Those days, for the most part, they're long gone. Right now, you go to if you try to buy something at the steps, you're paying retail.
Right, exactly. And that's another time that we had to adapt, right? Because that lasted for quite a few years, and it was great while it lasted.
Right.
And then everything started getting gobbled up down there, and then you have to adapt and figure out other ways to get properties, right? And then we rolled into doing mailers, doing direct to seller, and then you become a countertop buyer, like in the kitchen, sitting down face to face, talking with somebody, buying their home. So that was always my motto, like, you adapt or die.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's always changing in this market.
Absolutely.
On all ends, on retail end and wholesale.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, real estate is just, it's the nature of the beast, right? There's so many different, aspects and facets to it, I think, and it's good to be versed, like, to know what you're doing in each one of them. But I mean, you really become a master at one craft, and then you're able to adapt in that, in that space.
Yeah.
And more, I think more so even, to a level evolve. You know what I mean? Evolve yourself, evolve the business, and then provide, bigger and better solutions. One of the things that we mentioned right before we got started was, consistency, right? How did that play into you building the business that you have now in terms of wholesaling? Yeah.
So, when stuff starts changing, and you have to adapt. And I had never done direct to seller marketing before. And so when I rolled into doing that, I can't just do it for a month or two and expect, hey, everything's going to be life changing.
Right.
But
there's a learning curve.
You stay to the course, you stay consistent, and you start building almost a database, because you're getting leads, even though you're not buying them right then and there, but you're building a database, and then you have a whole database of follow-up leads to go off of every single month, and then it just starts building, and you stay consistent. The leads come in. Some of them you buy right away. Some of them you buy in 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now.
Yeah, the stats, right? 80% of the deals are going to be coming from follow-up is key. Follow-up is key.
Yep.
And that's anywhere. It doesn't matter what what your source is. Marketing campaign wise, if they're coming from cold call, from SMS, you still got to follow up somehow, some way. Have a process lined up. Even a simple spreadsheet, or if your database is not that big yet, I mean, that's fine. That'll work. Just the point is to keep them on a consistent follow-up.
Right. Yeah, that's the only way to maximize your advertising dollars. If you don't have something set in place to follow up, then you're not maximizing your advertising dollars that you're spending. Yeah,
you're hardly ever going to lock a deal or get a signature on that contract at the closing table, right?
Right.
And I mean, it happens.
Sometimes you do. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Great.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
They're beautiful when they happen. I get excited about them every single time. But it's not the standard, especially when somebody's starting off, right? The conversations can be a little rough. The solutions being presented can be a little rough, and there's some fine-tuning there. People have to get to a place where they trust you enough to do business with you, right?
Yeah, we just locked up a deal the other day that we had initially made contact in July.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's just you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to have follow up in place, because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know when their situation is going to change or when they're going to be ready.
Yeah. No, absolutely, I get it, and I completely agree. The talking about deals, let's because you have an extensive history in real estate already. So let's break down one of your wholesale deals. Give me an example on how you got the lead, what your process was. Pretty much what I want to kind of tap into is a snapshot of the way that you run your operation.
Yeah. So, for example, this one that we made contact in July.
Okay.
That was a text message campaign that had gone out. They had replied and showed some sort of interest. And then, we made the initial phone call, talked with them, say, hey, right now is not a good time. Hey, no problem. 2 weeks later, we followed up. Still not ready. And then they got on our 30-day follow-up campaign that we have. Every 30 days, we're touching them.
Boom,
right?
Boom.
And it's not the same message every 30 days. It's tweaked a little bit, but we're touching them every 30 days. And so they're going to be on your mind. And so then we got a phone call from the seller, actually, and said, okay, hey, now I'm ready. And then we went through the process and did the whole thing with them.
Yeah, that's just being top of mind when in a seller's head, right? Sometimes they'll say, I've had sellers say no. Like, no, I'm not interested. I am not selling. Unless they tell me that they already got rid of the property, or they specifically ask me not to ever call them again, they'll go on a follow-up sequence. And And of course, I mean, we always get, we have a conversation with them. Is it okay if I follow up with you in, a couple of months and whatnot? And put him back on that.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. It builds rapport, right? It kind of gives, that consideration. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see how many of them call you before the time is even due, or on their own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll say, hey, maybe a year from now, right? And
then
you'll say
months.
following up, and then it could spark it back up and come back alive.
Absolutely. So this deal, let's dive a little bit deeper into it. How'd you get that lead? What kind of lead was it?
It was just a text message campaign that we had. We have our criteria, scraped the data, ran it through, sent out our text message campaign, and then they responded with showing somewhat of interest, and then we got on the phone with them.
Ooh, that's key, man. I see time and time again, I see a lot of people, even some clients and students, they keep the conversation in those lines of marketing. For example, SMS, they'll try to negotiate via SMS. Like the point is to get people out of that stuff as soon as you get a hand raise and put them into a conversation.
Exactly. That is our initial thing. When they show any sort of interest in selling their home, our first thing is give them a call. Try and get on and have a conversation with them, because building that relationship is more important. Because I don't know what the stats are, but I guarantee you're going to buy a fraction of the homes trying to do it on SMS than actually getting on the phone and talking to them.
Things are going to fall through the cracks left and right, man. I guarantee you that.
And you're just throwing away your advertising money.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, as soon as we the way that we have it is a text comes in. If they're interested, we don't even text them back.
Yeah,
The next step is a phone call.
Is a phone call.
Yeah.
Try and get a live phone call.
Right.
And a lot of times you don't make contact, they don't answer or what have you. So then you do text and you try and get them on the phone eventually.
Right. So that lead came in. It took you 6 months to get it?
That one took 6 months. Yeah.
Through the door to get that signature in the paperwork. It only took 6 months. And how did it turn out? What was it? What was the seller situation? What problem did you come in to solve?
Yeah, they were looking to relocate. All the kids had gone to college. I think they had one that was just getting ready to leave, and so they were ready to downsize. And we were able to, and they're a little bit older, and so they didn't want to mess with, COVID is a big scare, getting people through your house, people coming in and out, and they didn't want to mess with that. They didn't want to mess with the time frame that it would take, the inspection period and all that. And so we were able to negotiate a price that made sense to them. I mean, obviously, they know they're gonna have to sell at a little bit of a discount to not have to go through that.
Right.
And so we were able to give them a price that made sense for them, made sense for us, and it all worked out.
The key thing is, I mean, we can always come in with speed and convenience, right? It's one of the biggest things that we always talk about in Wholesaling Inc. You can always offer some type of convenience, along with the speed of closing and
time and convenience.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so if you come in, you wrap your head around that as you're coming into that conversation, you're gonna see like a lot of little gaps that you can fill in with solutions. Yeah, and they have to understand. I mean, time and convenience does have value. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, when you break it down, there is actually a dollar amount for time.
We're trading that for equity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what did it look like? What was the?
It ended up being a great deal. It actually ended up working great for one of our clients who's building a portfolio of rentals, and so we were able to tie it up. I'm trying to remember if we were at 75% of value, and we were able to give it to them at like 82% of value.
82, yeah.
Pre-rehab. Yeah. And it worked great for their rental portfolio, and so
what was your wholesale fee on that, if you don't mind me asking?
That one was $23,000.
$23,000 for a 6-month follow-up. That you kind of stayed on top, on a monthly basis. Consistency, man. I mean, boom. I'm telling you, if that's not, magic in the making, I don't know what is.
And it really helps your numbers when those come back around, right? And helps all your numbers.
Absolutely, man. I love it. And so $23K. Giving somebody else a solution. That's the thing. A lot of the time when people are coming into wholesaling, we have the tendency to be caught up in the price, right? Like, no, how is somebody going to sell, for a lot less than, retail? Why would they? Like, it doesn't happen, but it does. People are looking for something different, and it's not about, deceiving in price points. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about coming into it with a different perspective and providing a solution, right? Just like you guys did.
Yeah, and a lot of times sellers learn that the hard way. We had a deal where I couldn't get it to the closing table. They didn't want to sign because they thought they're leaving too much money on the table. They went with a retail buyer. 2 months later, she called me up and said, these guys are canceling like the day before.
Right.
I already have my new house. I'm all boxed up, moved out. I'm trying to close on my new house, and I can't close it unless this one closes. So we were able to swoop back in and close it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Got an extension for the close of escrow.
Got an extension on her other house, and then we were able to come. Obviously, she got a little bit less.
Yeah.
But it was done. It was a guarantee, and she had to get in her other house, and so that to her has a lot of value.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and when you have something like that, that's a double hitter. I mean, really, and I mean double hitter as in them having a transaction on their end, and then you having your side of the transaction. They have money put into it. They have inspections. They have earnest money. They're going to lose. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that plays into it. So it's just a bigger problem, bigger headache, and now you have the time constraint that you can come in and then also alleviate that with. When you push your deals, because you said you pushed it up to 82 on your seller on your buyer side. I'm sorry. What are you looking for to give your end buyers? How do you structure that? I guess
I want them to make money.
Yeah,
I want them to have a deal.
Otherwise, you can't sell, right?
I know if they make money, then they're going to stick around, and they're always going to be a client. I mean, that's the most important thing that everybody has to understand. You make your money on the buy. That's when you make your money. I mean, even though you're not having cash in hand, but you make your money on the buy.
Yeah.
If you don't buy that house right, you're going to have all sorts of headache and problems getting rid of it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what you do to it. I mean, go put bells and whistles on it. If you don't buy it right, you're just going to have problems.
Yeah, it's going to sit there. It's not going to move. And it really sucks when you have to go back and renegotiate something with the seller.
That's the worst part of the business. I hate that. I hate that more than anything in our business.
Mr. Seller, I am so sorry. I offered you more than I could. I can't close on it. And then you have, the awkward conversations just because you didn't, we always, if you're not getting a number from the seller to start off with, it's the beginning of a conversation, right? We we anchor low. That's the thing. So we'll anchor low, and basically what it is, it's not that it means that that's the price of the agreement, right? What it's going to turn out to be, but it's a starting point for a conversation. But you're right. You're totally right. You have to buy it right, otherwise the second leg of a transaction does not work.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that learn that. At the very beginning, they just want a deal, right? I want a deal. Right. I want a deal. So they'll write a deal, and then it just ends up being a headache. It keeps them up at night. They're, all this anxiety because they can't get rid of it. Now their name's on the line as well. They want to do right by the seller because I'm sure they have good intentions when they sign that contract.
Yeah.
But you make your money on the buy.
Oh yeah, I learned that the hard way, man. First week into it, I went, all in like a freight train. I was having a bunch of conversations with sellers. Went and had had a bunch of appointments that first week. It was a long time ago, and I locked up 6 deals on my first week. Right, wow. 6 deals.
It's like a record.
I go out, and actually, I did this while working for a company, right? So it wasn't all my leads. I wasn't doing the marketing. I was getting the appointments and then just had to perform on those. So I was the acquisitions guy, and I went, locked up 6 deals, came back first week, fresh, coming, in from a totally different industry, had nothing to do with real estate. I felt like a rock star, bro. I walked into that, that office Monday morning and then laid out the 6 contracts right there. Let's go. Super excited. None of them sold.
They couldn't sell any of them? Oh, man.
No, my math was all over the place. I was trying to justify and doing all kinds of wishful thinking on like, if we do this, I guess I can push it a little higher. Bro, we're paying retail, if not even more, minus realtor fees. Right. But they were all locked wrong. They all fell through. Now, the second week, sucked even more because I had to go back and renegotiate. Like, have conversations with those sellers and tell them, hey, listen, you know what? I was here last week. I was super green.
Yeah,
I am so sorry.
I hate doing that. I try and avoid that as much as possible because I don't want to do that to a seller, and I don't want to be in that situation. I don't like it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. One thing that we do on the dispo side as well is when we push it out, we want to make sure we do the math, right? And it's always rough numbers because every buyer, and this is on the buyer side, I'm sorry, every buyer of your contract is going to have, they're going to have a different skill set when it comes to renovating and
Right.
doing their thing.
Rehab's always the variable. That's always the
you
variable.
can't pinpoint it. Because somebody might do a great job at it and somebody may completely suck and not
Right.
do great at all. So, but we have this calculation in there. It's just a ballpark, and what it does, it creates our numbers on the acquisition from the space of giving the end buyer about a 12% return. Right, so they drop money into the
annualized
rehab.
or on the deal?
No, on the deal.
That's a great return.
Yeah, 10 to 12% return on the deal. That's what we're ballparking for. Because
that's great.
I know for a fact, for example, that if we lock a deal and we have a 10% ROI to 12% ROI, my buyer's list is gonna, they're gonna suck it right up. It just, it works, right? So we work the numbers off of that, but you have to know where to come in. It's
right.
Yeah, you got to do that math.
Yeah, and do you guys have it pinpointed like price per square foot? Like if it's a minor rehab, you have a per square foot, and then if it's more of a major.
Yeah, actually, inside the course we have a full calculator for it, but it's you type in a couple numbers, a couple comps, and it'll give you a range, and then you take into account the estimated repair, right? And then it'll work out the numbers based off of that 10 to 12% return.
Yeah.
And that way you're locking a deal, you're having a conversation based on logical numbers, and then you actually have something in your hands that you can sell, that you can push, and it's a sellable agreement.
If you end up being a credible source for your investors, for your clients,
they'll come back to you.
They'll come back to you. The whole
buyers,
stigma,
buyers and sellers.
The stigma of wholesalers is they overestimate the retail value.
Yeah.
And they underestimate rehab.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, hey, this house is worth $500,000 and it only needs $20,000. Well, really, it's worth $400,000 and it needs $50,000.
$50,000.
Right? And so when you get that name, it's it's people just start deleting your emails.
Yeah. Oh man, that's your buyer's list it's really the holy grail of your business, right? And you have to take care of it. A lot of the times we get people in that want to partner up, they want to do joint venture deals. Hey, I have this deal, can we push it through your buyer's list? We'll set up a JV agreement. We still run.
You want to make sure it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The last thing I want to do, or anybody wants to do for that matter, is swamp out their buyer's inbox with crappy deals that are not going to sell.
Yeah, because then they're going to unsubscribe. They're just going to not even look at your deals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, that's what I've always tried to do. You always want to make sure you're giving your investors a good deal.
Right.
You don't want to be that guy who's overestimating retail and underestimating.
Well, you're also not going to last. I mean, that's also very important. You're not going to last too long if you're that guy.
And that's why I always say you make your money on the buy.
Yeah.
You buy it right, you're not going to have any problems.
Yeah. Come in with the problem-solving mentality, lock it right, and then have meat in the bones for the end buyer.
Exactly.
You're not gonna get rich off of the one deal. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you said at the beginning, consistency is really what gets you to that space. Yeah, of an actual business. Yeah, man, I love it. Thank you so much, man. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, where would they find you?
Yeah, super easy. My email is my name, Layne at LaynePeterson.com. Mm-hmm. Always super responsive there. I'm always building my database. Mm-hmm. I JV a lot with people too. Mm-hmm. I love to do it. Obviously, if the deal is right. And or just call me 480-560-2585.
Oh snap!
Yeah, hit me up.
All right. Do you do Instagram or social media?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Instagram, Facebook.
Layne Peterson as well.
Only thing I'm not on is TikTok. Just to watch my kids. I am on it, but I like watching my kids. That's about it.
Cool. Awesome, bro. So if you were to recommend a book to somebody or a learning source to somebody starting off as a wholesaler, what would that be?
Man, specifically to wholesaling, I'm not sure, but there's a book that I really like that is You're Not as Smart as You Think You Are.
Ooh.
It's really cool. It really kind of sets your tone of let's not be so egotistical. Let's not be so pompous. We don't know everything. Matter of fact, we know way less than what we even think we know. Because we all we all try and convince ourselves that we know more or that we're right.
Yeah.
We do it subconsciously and we do it consciously.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. You're not as smart as you think you are.
You're not as smart as you think you are. I love that title, man. In this industry, actually, especially, there's so much ego going on. But when you really dive into it and start, growing as a person and working on yourself, the more you find out, and I'll speak for myself, but the more I realize that I don't know it all. Like, there's just so much to it. So much to it.
I've been doing this for 12 years with the wholesaling side. I've been in real estate since the early 2000s here in Arizona. And, it's as long as you have that mentality of you can always learn more.
Yeah.
And keep your people tight, right? Build your network. There's a lot of really, really smart people in this business. And I've been friends and networking with a lot of them since the crash happened. And I'm still close with them.
Yeah.
You wanna maintain those relationships, and because you never know when a deal's gonna happen.
Right.
I mean, I've JV'd with countless other wholesalers. They know that I'm an East Valley guy, or that I'm a land guy, or that this guy's an apartment guy, or that whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
And they bring you those deals. And you always want to maintain those relationships. You want to stay in front of people. I mean, you know that. You guys got a great network going as well. And we always collaborate with each other. And
Yep.
it just, the whole synergy of it with all the other people in the business actually increases your bottom line.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely an industry that it didn't used to be that way, I think, but it's shifting to the place where it's better to be inside a network, because a lot of people are more willing to help than we initially believe they are.
Yeah.
So it just creates that great environment. And it really comes down to like having the right people around you, just like you said at the beginning of the interview. It's having the right people around you to do everything. That's to grow your business, to get out of those taskiness or tasky things that you need to handle as an individual. Delegate those. If you don't have the right people around you,
one of the biggest deals that I did didn't come from my advertising. It came from somebody else in the business.
Wow.
He had a relationship with a bank, and the deal came up where it was 2 subdivisions, not full houses. They got caught in the crash. They were 90% developed, plus a big plot of vacant land. In one of the subdivisions had 7 big custom homes that also got taken back. And he called me and said, "Hey, help me do this deal." And we got through the entire deal. I actually ended up owning the vacant land piece, which was a great investment.
You still hold that? You still have that?
I'm almost through it. We got like just a small portion of it left. So we've
Wow.
worked through it, split it, platted it, the 7 houses we were able to wholesale. And then he ended up with the other subdivision. It was one of the biggest, most complicated deals that I had done, but it was one of the biggest deals that I had done. And it was just somebody else in the business. We have a great relationship. We have confidence and trust in each other, and he brought me the deal.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't have the solution for something, what do? You reach out to your network, right?
Right.
You figure out who. The question is who, not how.
Yeah.
A lot of times, that's how you're going to move faster.
Yeah.
It's who can help me, not how can I figure this out.
Exactly.
It's tapping into people who already have experience in what you're doing. Give me numbers on that one, if you don't mind me asking. What was the spread? I know you're pretty reserved. Just throw a number out there.
Man, this was like 5 years.
Out of curiosity, because I
want
to put a tangible number in the value of the network.
So really, the money that was made was on the 7 big custom homes, because he kept the other subdivision and I kept the vacant land. So the sales price on all those 7 custom homes, I think, was $3.8 million.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
and
insane.
there was over $1 million in wholesale fees.
Oh yeah, wow. See, if that's not network is your net worth, I don't know what is.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, brother.
All right,
I appreciate you spending the time.
Thanks for having me.
And
Appreciate
dropping
it.
those nuggets on us. Fam, thank you for listening. Every week I bring you the real, the raw, the mindset, the case studies, and the strategies you need to build your own successful real estate wholesaling business. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't miss out on real life experience and information that can make you millions. It's time to join the ranks of successful wholesalers and real estate entrepreneurs like the one you just heard, and take advantage of one of the biggest opportunities that we have in our lifetime to generate wealth. So go to reiwholesaling.com. head over to my website. Again, that's reiwholesaling.com, and learn how to make big profits, make big money by finding, negotiating, and closing wholesale deals from your own backyard. You've heard the stories, seen the case studies. Stop thinking about it. It's time to write your own. Again, head over to reiwholesaling.com, click on coaching program, book a discovery call, have a conversation with my team, and you might get an invitation to join hundreds of students throughout the country who are leveling up on a daily basis. The writing is on the wall. Hustle is a season, it's not a business strategy. Take action, start building a sustainable and scalable real estate wholesaling business, and join the coaching program today. I will catch you guys on the next one. Talk to you soon. Stay focused. You got this.